Hello and welcome to PPC Live, the podcast. I'm your host, Anu, and I'm the founder of PPC Live. And if you're used to hearing advice from PPC experts about how to ensure that we're keeping up with the ever-changing landscape, don't worry, you are still in the right place. But instead of relaying what the PPC experts are saying, I'm going to be bringing the PPC experts to you. Every week, I'm going to be speaking to a different PPC expert about their biggest effort, but also how they turn things around and remain a trusted expert in their field, in their company, and amongst their colleagues, especially. Today, I have the extreme pleasure of speaking to Dale Olorenshaw of Strategic IQ, who talks about even being a lead of his team, he made an error that did not align with what the proper QA process should be. I mean, the processes that should be. I know with as someone who has worked with agencies, sometimes I hear about, the process that we have to go through with doing things. And I'm all like, those processes, they're so limiting and they just, they withhold creativity. But actually, some of those processes are actually the key to ensuring you set a campaign live with all the right settings and you don't waste a client's budget. So yeah, a lot of money was lost in this particular mistake that could have been avoided, a mistake that could have been avoided by following some QA processes. But Dale tells us how the team was so supportive, the client was supportive, and how they really turned things around. So yeah, let's go speak to Dale. Hello, Dale. Welcome to PPC Live, the podcast.
Hi, Annie. Thanks for having me.
My absolute pleasure. I know like us knowing each other has not been for too long, but as soon as we had the fantastic, a good friend of mine, Russ McCarthy, put me in touch with James Babington,
Good old Russ.
he's like, like the owner of like your StrategiQ and brought that in. It's just been amazing so far. And I won't jump the gun into why, our meetup was so important just yet. I'll leave that till near the end. But first of all, I'd love to introduce you guys to the fantastic Dale Olorenshaw. And I'm sure I said that name slowly because I was just telling Dale earlier on that if that was OLU, as in Olorenshaw, I was like, that could be someone who was like my uncle. Because that sounds like a Nigerian name.
Who knows?
But it's
Maybe in another life.
right? You never know. So Dale Olorenshaw
That's
is an
right.
experienced performance and growth marketer with very much demonstrated history of working in the marketing and advertising industry. He's skilled over PPC and SEO and digital strategy, digital analytics and insights, customer relationship management, social media management, account management, and has got very strong professional background with a degree in marketing, even with over 15 years of experience in both agency and freelance. And now is the head of paid media and search at StrategiQ, a brilliant company that are based in London. Is it just London that you have offices in, or do you have offices elsewhere?
No, we used to have offices scattered across the country, but we've all consolidated and now we've got one big London hub, which is, everyone's excited. It's still quite new, been here just shy of a year, but
Right.
the buzz of the atmosphere and being in London is brilliant.
It really is. It really is. Especially the location where you guys are based, like around Liverpool Street, Shoreditch area. There's so much to do. So, you go into office and then after there's always somewhere great to go for lunch, great to hang out with after work, for a drink or so. Yeah, it's a great venue.
Brilliant. It's brilliant.
And Dale's fun fact really blew me away. I absolutely love this fun fact of Dale's. In a previous life, he was a professional UK wrestler. Like, like The Rock. That kind of like
Wasn't as big as The
personality.
Rock.
Like The Rock. He
From
was
both fame and
The
height
Rock of UK.
perspective.
And you did it for 10 years. And why did
That's
that
right.
career path have to come to an end?
Yeah, unfortunately, it's due to injury. I injured both my knees. So that's why in this day and age, I can only play football once a week. And then I'm hobbling around for about a week before I could play again. But no, it was good fun whilst it lasted.
Oh, amazing. Well, we're glad, very much so glad that you did make that switch. And despite it being a painful switch actually for you, but like, yeah, you add so much to our industry. And really glad to hear the story that you're going to share with us today about, effort that's been made. It's like a recent one. Dale said that he's going to share. So really grateful that, you're willing to share that, because some people are like, oh no, sometimes some stories are just a bit too raw. And it's not even about being brave. I get it. I get it. When something's too raw, you want to wait a while before even talking about it. So thank you so much, Dale, for coming on the show today to talk about this. And yeah, really excited to hear about how you got turned around, how you rebuild your trust with the client and with on this journey. So let's get to it. Dale, what F up would you like to share with us today?
Well, like you alluded to, Annie, I think we've all made plenty of mistakes over our career, but the one I wanted to share today was just the most fresh for me. It was earlier on in the year, we're talking 9 months ago, but
Oof.
mistakes still hurt, a few months later down the line. And it was quite a basic mistake I made. It was using the wrong landing page for a campaign I launched. And that campaign also had a dedicated £15,000 budget to test. And by the end of the month, the test didn't go according to plan because of my F up, shall we say.
That sounds like that would be painful. So
Really
it
was.
took you a month to figure out that it was the landing page, but what are checks that, didn't go, that weren't being happening that where it took a month? Because apologies for saying I don't want to like beat you for this statement, like, oh, how did you let that happen? But more
I
like,
know.
you get a lot of like speaking with, managers of like, there's weekly checks. There must be like weekly checks and several things that you do in
Yeah.
place. So how did that get missed for a whole month?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And we have our own QA process where different
Sure.
members of the team QA one another's work, especially bigger campaigns, tests. And I guess this mistake has a few sub-layer mistakes to it as well. And this is one where, because I head up the team, I took this client on myself. There's a lot going through the business and the team, and I thought, come on then, let's take this on. That was the first mistake, is not adhering to
Mm.
our own processes. And because I took it on myself, the keyword there, myself, there wasn't it when over the QA checks, and dedicated landing pages had been built for this test. And
Mm. Mm.
fortunately, in the heat of the moment, still can't explain why I took the website's organic page instead of the landing page
Yeah.
test. Uh, and yeah, it was one of those where over the month, results weren't going according to plan. And what I mean by results is we were expecting conversions
Yeah.
from this campaign.
Yeah.
And the top level metrics were good. The click through rate was good. Engagement was good. But the conversions and engagement actually on the website weren't following. And
Right.
I did have a gut feeling that, there's something not right here. And another mistake to layer in is that I didn't go with my gut feeling. I
Yeah.
didn't look into it. And I was sort of telling myself, it's early days, it's a test. And I guess then the biggest element which hurts from this whole experience is that, and I hate it when this happens, but the client noticed first and decided to investigate. And that's what I take a lot of pride, me and my team here, that be proactive, make sure you're feeding the client's information before they come to you. And on this occasion, I remember it perfectly. It was about 6:30 in the evening, still checking my emails, and I got the email from the client basically telling me what the F up had been. And we've all been there where all of a
Yeah.
sudden you feel your heart rate double in in speed, those beads of sweat coming down your head, and you
Yep.
know immediately that your gut feeling was right all along. And
Yeah.
it's your fault as well. There's no escaping it. And I think that's
Yeah.
the whole element. So yeah, there's a few sub layers of mistakes to that, and just not following my gut feeling and not following our QA checks is what ultimately is the biggest mistake here.
Oh, bless Dill. I feel like giving you a hug right now in this moment because yeah, all of those things, you just it's like and the knowing and the doing is like that pull, like it's knowing is not enough. I think that's something a big lesson that we should really,
Yeah,
listen to, adhere to, and you already take. It's not even 10 minutes into this podcast. That's already a big lesson of like knowing and practical, two different things, and make sure
yeah.
you have both and you're putting both in place. So okay, let's move on to like that client, like that client's reaction of that client, picking that up. How did that go? Was it a very, very tough? How heavy handed did they come on you?
Because it was a test and their average monthly budget was below that £15,000. So it was a big investment.
Yeah.
And, I always tell my team, treat a client's money as your own. And
Right.
again, I wasn't following our own best practice with that. So they did come down quite hard that they
Yeah.
had spotted it and we hadn't spotted it. And how come it's taken a month for it to be spotted,
Yeah.
which was all fair questions. And I went back with a placeholder, let me investigate, let me get the figures, the facts before we jump into this. And, I couldn't really sleep that night. I was thinking about
Of
it, but I needed to digest the information myself and double check, like, yeah,
course.
this is on me. There's no escaping this. I wouldn't want to escape it anyway. But the next morning, every account here at Strategic has an account director as well, alongside the specialists and the HODs. And I remember calling the account director very first thing in the morning, hi, good morning, how you doing? I just went straight into, look, I've effed up. And they were like, okay, tell me what's happened. And
Yeah.
I think the honesty of just coming out and saying, look, made this problem, holding my hands up. They they were behind me all the way. They were like, right, come on, let's solve this. Let's put a solution together.
Yeah.
Uh, and yeah, it was just good knowing that we had a team behind us. There's no blame culture or anything. Everyone
Yeah.
makes mistakes. Everyone
Yeah.
knows that. So it's just a case of let's own up, let's solve it, and let's work with the clients on how we can. The
Yeah.
relationship hadn't been broken, but it's like, look, how do we fix it?
Sure, sure. I mean, and look, if you blame yourself, if you put your hand up and go,
100%.
I was the one that did it. It gives no one else, any stance to be like, oh yeah, let's point fingers at someone. You've owned up to it. You want to be part of the solution, and the best decision in those times of situations is let's move on and let's try to win
Mm,
the client back. So what was the process of winning the client back? How, I mean, obviously the URL got changed to the right landing page.
yeah.
That's an easy, like, what happened to turn things around? You fix that. But how's the relationship even with the client till now? Is that you guys still on good terms?
Yeah, with this client, it's not just with PPC, but we do a lot of other service lines with
Sure.
this client, and the relationship's always been good. We've won a few UK search awards and European search awards for this particular client,
Hi,
but
nice.
there was no, again, hiding from it. So at the end of the day, it was £15,000 for a test. So how do we make up that £15,000 to
Sure.
do another test? Because the test was supposed to only run for a month, and the month had come to an end. So we did come to an agreement of, right, we'll reconcile some of the budget. There was another stream of work coming through at the same time. We said, look, this is on us. Let us do this free of charge. And then the next campaign, we also did it at a reduced fee as well. So
Sure.
all things considered, that made up the media spend that we had
Sure.
spent on that mistake, and altogether that allowed us to come together and push on with that campaign again. So it's a few different elements of a bit of
Mm-hmm.
value and a bit more time here and there. It
Yeah.
was a case of we'll just run it again. So which the client did appreciate.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And like, you know, that's really, really great to hear that, opinion and viewpoint from the clients. But another aspect of these stories that I like to get is your team and even like the account director that you spoke to. You've already alluded to the fact that, it wasn't a blame culture they had, but like really what part of, them either supporting was there actually, you all said that everybody was great. Was there anyone who maybe, like, dug in more than they should have and just wouldn't some letting go? Or was it just really everybody got on board with your manager and everything?
Yeah, everyone just got behind one another, and I think that because we've got good relationships with all of our clients. Really, I think anyone's
Mhm.
going to say that, but this is true, and they're aware. People make mistakes. Not
Yeah,
everyone's perfect, and mistakes haven't really occurred much with this client in the past. So I think it was the
sure.
case of, look, can't escape it from a business point of view. So we do need to find a solution. But no, honestly, everyone, even on the client side, pulled together to find the solution. They weren't
Nice.
looking to hang us out to dry. We just
Fantastic.
wanted to help them. They wanted to help us as well. So yeah,
Amazing.
I think everyone played an equal role in getting over
Yeah.
that mistake.
Do you guys have like a client services team within Strategic? Yeah.
We do. We coin it the growth team here
Right.
because they're the ones that are holistic marketers
Sure.
and
Exactly.
are able to help the client with all of their business decisions and pull
Uh-huh.
together those marketing plans. And then that's where the specialists come in with their own personal
Yeah.
experience to add from a PPC, programmatic, social media, customer experience point of view. So yeah, we do, and we call them the growth team here.
Yeah, and they were also quite supportive in the process because
Yeah.
in past stories, when I ask who was the one with the most surprising reactions, it's always like a client service team member who is like, "Oh yeah, you guys, we need to," there's like they're in the client's, like side instead of being part of the team that will help go to solutions. So it's really good to hear that even they, in this case, we're on board with you guys and we're on your side to get the solution from the sounds of it.
Yeah, no, everyone's on board. Everyone was down to earth. They're like, look, we need to do what's best for the client, but also do what's best for us as well. No,
Yeah,
said earlier, no one was hanging anyone out to dry. So it's how do we move forward where both parties win and learn from this experience, which is the most important thing.
absolutely. Totally agree with you with that one. So, what advice? So, if there's someone going through this process right now, like literally, they've gotten that email.
Mm.
Let's tell you that evening of getting the email from the client, they've gotten it, and I almost like kind of know what you're probably going to say because you've already alluded to it. What's your advice to someone in that evening of just seeing the email and a bit of a panicked, beads of sweat
Yeah.
just rolling down? They know it's their fault. What's your advice to them?
I'd say definitely take a step back, take a deep breath, gather your thoughts. Don't make any rash decisions here and there. It can be so easy to quickly respond and say, don't know why this has happened. We'll get to the bottom of it. Blah, blah, blah. Well, no, and I would even encourage to don't immediately investigate it there and then. To give yourself an hour, take the dog for a walk, get some fresh air to gather your thoughts, because you'll end up wanting to respond too sooner than you should do. You
Yeah,
won't give yourself enough time mentally or physically to pull all that information
yeah,
together. Definitely sleep on it. It would be hard to. And then
mhm,
at the end of the day, just be honest and rally yourself with the right people
yeah,
who, can be impartial to that scenario to
yeah.
help you and the client get to the next step.
Absolutely. I think that's very important. Even when you were saying giving the story the first time, like, a few minutes ago, you first mentioned that seeing the email. I think
Mm,
what really stuck out to me as well was the fact that you didn't kind of, you wrote an email say, I will investigate this. It wasn't like an email of like already promising. You clearly said that, like, look, you knew they were right, but still, it's good to not show your panic on
yeah.
that first few moments. It's very important not to show your panic. I mean, sure, let the panic motivate you to find a solution, but don't make sure the client doesn't see that panic in that moment, and gather yourself and go back and make sure you come back after you've done the proper investigation. No, I think
Yeah.
that's
Panic spreads panic. So don't show clients
right.
you're panicking, or that it could end up being a bigger situation than what it actually is.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So now, based on that story, what has been the biggest learning for yourself in terms of like turning point of like what you now do very differently because of that? I'm sure there's several things, but what's the things that you do very different now because of that thing that happened?
The biggest thing is just following processes, internal
Yeah.
processes, QAing. I think just outside of this scenario, this year for me has been about that, just making
Mm,
sure that the basics are bulletproof across all of
yeah.
your accounts, all of your campaigns, just to, ensure that you're doing all the foundational stuff right and to the best of that ability.
Yeah.
More often than not, that's enough to help your clients get to the next level and help them grow. If you get the basics right, it gives you more time to be doing the cool innovation
Yes.
stuff and R&D stuff. But certainly it's just adhered processes, QAing elements. And even though I head up the department, I follow that. And when we've had new clients join this year and they have landed on my desk,
Mm,
I've asked other members of the team, some of our execs, some of our managers to say, look, guys, I've just pulled this campaign structure together. Appreciate a second pair of eyes. And sometimes they even may be thinking, you head up the department. You
right.
should be able to do what you want, but it's not about that. It's about
No.
just make sure, because, we're all staring at Google ads, Bing ads, Amazon
Yeah.
ads all day, every day, that
Yeah.
it all becomes camouflaged and everything looks the same and you do end up missing stuff. So yeah,
Yeah.
QAing is just so important.
Amazing. I think also even that if if you go to a teammate to be like, can you QA my work? And you're someone who's the head of paid and head of paid side, it inspires them to be like, well, if Dale is even doing this with his
Mm.
work, there's no good reason why I shouldn't as well. I shouldn't then go to somebody else and be like, hey, can you check my work? Because, if someone like Dale, who's amazing, who's the head of department, still thinks that other people should check my work, I probably need to get my work check as well. And I think that's just, I think with things like that, especially where people can get a little bit like defensive with their work and be like, hey, I did this and
100%.
I know I got it right. You just need a bit of humility and seeing that other people do it. There's one thing to someone to tell you to do someone, but actually showing them that you do the thing that you're asking them to do, I think goes a lot further. So I'm sure your team is inspired by that to also do the same in terms of like when they do their work to get a second pair of eyes, because
Yeah, of
yeah,
course.
you never know.
It's not all about, catching mistakes. Well, it is, but it's not trying to find them. It's just making sure no one is making any
Yeah.
mistakes. So the best work possible is leaving
Yeah.
our team and getting in front of the client.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Totally agree. So we're going to, just after this question, we're going to tangent on to like other people's mistakes so that you can, let this mistake leave this. I hate digging things up like this for people. So I'm so grateful that people are so open to share these kind of stories. So one last question about this story and then we'll move on. So what's the one thing you'd like to leave people with? Like, about this story, like you've probably said it, but let's just like wrap it up in one sentence. Like, what's the biggest takeaway that people, our audience, our listeners should take on that story you've just shared?
Yeah, I guess it's three things. Don't be rash, take time, be honest, and just treat a client's budget as if it's your own investment.
Amazing. Don't be rash, be honest, treat the client's money like it's your own. I love it. I
Exactly.
love it. So let's now move on. You can breathe easy. It's all done. you're,
Oh,
you're good now.
hopefully I don't have to revisit that again.
Yeah, let's hope you don't have to. So I'm really grateful that you shared that. You've chosen us to share that with today. What's something, I'm sure, especially in the past few years, with AI and the revolution of AI and all the AI things that you could do, what are mistakes that you see, people still making, especially when you win a new account and you're like,
Yeah.
oh, these guys, that previous agency, I know why that client fired them. What's like a recurring mistake that you kind of see that people are doing on accounts?
A thing I've noticed a lot, certainly this year actually, and with the
Okay.
whole advancement of AI platforms and algorithmic learning and everything. And I guess sometimes it's understanding the foundational stuff. And I'm going to come to ad copy with
Mm.
this one. And if
Okay.
we look at RSAs and,
Mm-hmm.
Google's recommendation is always input as many headlines as you
Sure.
can and as many descriptions because that feeds the algorithms. But if you're working with smaller budgets, smaller businesses, SMBs who don't have massive budgets, if you take a step back and actually think about this for a second, if you create an ad that's got 10 headlines,
Mm-hmm.
2 descriptions, think of how many different possibilities that ad could be. And I'll give you the answer to that specific example. It's actually 47,000. If you've got a budget of, say, 10 to even £50 a day,
Mm.
and work out an average cost per click. How many times does each possibility, every variable have to appear before you can actually get good algorithmic learnings about that ad? And more often than not, a lot of those headlines will be surplus to requirements because Google will
Yeah.
just catch on to the first thing that's working. So whilst you may be sat there thinking Google's looking at all of my headlines all the time and testing, it won't be. So I think it's understanding how much learning can be done with your budgets
Sure. Sure.
through the AI learning within the platform itself. So
Yeah.
sometimes it's okay to only have 6 headlines, 2 descriptions. As long as you can pull learnings to say, actually, this headline or this word is the common denominator towards conversions. Because if you can't do that, then you're
Yeah.
not really testing or taking
Yeah.
advantage of actually the platform's strengths. So that's something I'm still seeing a lot of,
Mm.
that people are falling into that mistake.
Interesting. Yeah, that is not, I don't think not even I don't think, I'm sure that no one else has mentioned something as detailed as that in terms of like, RSAs. And I'm really glad you gave an advice for SMBs, because a lot of these talks and a lot of these like processes all about how the big retail media folks can, make the most of AI and big budgets. And I think for sure SMBs are really trying to figure out as to how do they fit in into this process, but also make it look like if they're making the most of everything. And I think there's just a stage of it, because at some
Yeah,
stage, as you grow, yeah, then it'll make more sense to use as many of those headlines as possible. But as you're growing, make sure that you are actually feeding it what it will need to actually make the most of like using the best that'll work for you. Because yeah, trying to test 15 headlines when you only have like 50, 100
small
pounds
budget.
a
Yeah.
day budget is not, it's not going to make sense. It's not going to go through all the headlines. So yeah, that's a very, very good point. Some very good takeaway for people. Um, Also, I'd like to then like divert back just a little bit back to like, our topic of, just this, what this podcast is about in terms of talking about mistakes and why that's important. Because I don't know about you, I say this to all my guests. I don't see people on LinkedIn or any other platform showing that this is the mistake that I made, that, this is
Definitely
the
not.
learning. I don't know. We're all like, this is my winnings. We got an award. We did best client, best thing. I mean, I don't even mind the fact that you did mention earlier on that you guys won an award, because you're here to talk about mistake. And and it's part of that, when it's inserted as that's how the story happened, it makes sense. But everybody just does the whole, I won an award. Why is it important for us to talk about when things have gone wrong?
I mean, I guess it's as simple as how's the next generation of paid media execs, PPC execs going to learn? And
Uh,
social media is so strong
yeah,
and in our faces these days that,
yeah,
those that are coming out of university or at university or just have 1, 2, 3 years experience, all they're just digesting is all this good stuff, all this good stuff. And then, I guess subconsciously they're going to be thinking if they make a mistake, everyone else is doing so much good stuff that even if they make one mistake, I
done.
can't because everyone else is so good. When in reality, just think how many PPC mistakes are being made on a daily basis
Yeah,
that aren't being shown. So
yeah,
I think it's, I don't think we should all shout about it because at the end of the
yeah.
day, we do have credibility and
Sure.
reputation to uphold. But as a community, we should feel safe to just be like, look, made this mistake. This is what they're learning from it. Hope you guys can carry it away and not make the same
Yeah,
mistake, which is why I love this podcast. That's what it does.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, and that's the thing. I think that's what made it such a. I was passionate for it to use as the unique selling point. And there's
Mm.
nothing more unique than talking about mistakes in PPC, because I don't see any other community or any other podcast do it. So I was like, let me get there first. I don't know whether I was thinking, oh, will people be bold enough to do it? But I'm so grateful. I've had several folks, do that. And we're always coming up to a year of doing it this way. So yeah, people are still very, very like,
I think
generous
you
with that.
learn more from mistakes than you do
Absolutely.
wins. So,
Absolutely.
any aspiring paid media execs or managers looking to take that next step is just don't be afraid to
Yeah.
make mistakes.
Yeah.
No one in the industry will encourage it,
No.
but embrace the mistakes because you
Yes.
learn and you'll grow a lot more both professionally and as an
Yeah.
individual by
Yeah.
learning from those mistakes.
Yeah. And I even feel some part of your story already alludes to this, but like how as like head of departments or managers do we kind of inspire an environment of like making a mistake will not mean the end of the world? Like, like what's important to instill in or encourage in a culture kind of way so that people don't feel too scared as to when they make their mistake?
I think going back to the whole honesty side and knowing and reassuring people that you've got a team behind you. One, I've done this for many years across various agencies and across many teams that I've had the privilege of looking after, is that there's this small habit I try to distill within my teams, even when they're writing emails and I see them typing, I will do this or I will get this back to you. I really encourage and I get them to change that I to we, because we're a team, we're together. And that's not to take away recognition if you're doing good work right now, but there will be a day where you will make a mistake, because I think it's a bit foolish to say we're never going to make mistakes, no matter how experienced you are. But when that day comes, and the first point of call is always going to email chains, communication, what was said, what was agreed. When there's a common theme of we promised this, we did this, we actioned this, we reported on this, you're in the trenches with your team then, and they'll have your back. And so it's not saying we to shift the blame and other people say, oh, why did you say we? It's because you should be able to trust your team to have your back at the end of the day. And that's what I encourage with my team, that we're all in it together. So just be honest and just know that you're going to have backup for if and when that time comes.
Amazing. Couldn't say it better myself. Yeah, thanks for that example of, I think that's such a practical, because we can give like a nice theoretical answer for like what's important, but that whole practical, what we write in an email, changing that I to we. I hope managers are listening to that and thinking, I'm gonna start doing that with my team. I hope at least one or two people think to go away and doing that. Dale, this has been such a fantastic chat. Thank you. You've given us so many learnings left, right, and center. So yeah, let's get off the PPC train talk and let's go to a very lovely, like one of like our last question. If your PPC career were a movie, what would the title be?
Oh, I've been thinking about this, and the one that stood out to me was I've gone with The Pursuit of Change, because our
Okay.
industry just changes so much. I don't think a week goes by where something in the platform's changed,
I
or
know.
AI's changed, or there's a brand new platform out there, or retail media is completely changing, or in the future there's going to be ChatGPT
Yeah.
ads.
Yeah.
I think
Yep.
change is just the constant theme and thread of our careers and
Yeah.
my career, and I couldn't think of anything more suitable than that, really.
Yeah, the pursuit of change. Yeah, that definitely sounds like is a good sum up of where we are really right now in most of our careers. So yeah, thank you so much for that, Dale. And before you leave us today, where can people find you in terms of like your thoughts and your musings as to how people can still get further in our industry?
Well, I'm always available on LinkedIn. I attend PPC live events.
Yay.
I go to other industry events and partners and friends as well. I hosted the paid search roundtable at Brighton SEO
Nice.
very recently just gone. So, if anyone's ever wanting to chat, catch up, make a new industry friend, I'm available in all those places. So if you're at a conference or not, or you just want to chat online, I'm available.
Amazing. And yeah, I love that like Dale like snuck that in. He comes to PPC live events and not just that, very great support. And they're going to be doing their biggest support in terms of StrategiQ are going to be hosting us on February the 5th. They've got the most lovely of offices. I walked in there and I was just like, oh my God, how have I not been in here earlier than
Exciting
this?
times.
Yeah, and it's their office is actually where Dragon's Den, one of the first few seasons, was shot.
That's right.
So guys, we're going to be in a historical space here. So if you want to see, like, do like photo shoots of like, of yourself and selfies of like, this is where Dragon's Den was first shot, you want to be at the next PPC Live event on February the 5th. Early bird ticket sales are already live, so go to ppc.live for that. But yeah, we're so excited that, you'll have a chance to even chat with Dale as well and talk a bit more about his experience. So please join us for that. But for now, Dale, thank you so much for being on this podcast and share with us. And you've been such a great to like learn and give so much of your knowledge to our audience. So yeah, very, very grateful for that. Thank you.
Thank you. Like I said, huge admirer and glad I finally made it on.
I'm glad. I'm so glad to. All right, cool. We'll see you later.
Right. Thanks a lot, Anu.
Thank you so much, Dale, for sharing that very honest and transparent experience. And yeah, of course, you're going to be transparent when your advice to people is to be transparent, to lead by example. It's one thing to tell your team to be going around to be like, yeah, you need to QA your work. You need to make sure someone else looks at, the piece of settings that you've put live. And another thing to actually be doing it yourself so that they know what they should be doing from example. Honestly, managers, leaders, I think the best thing to do is always to lead by example. So for all the information and the full transcript of that fantastic discussion, please go to podcast.ppc.live for all the updates for that. So no longer talking about October 22nd or at our last event of 2025. We are now going on to talking about February 5th, 2026, our first event of next year. And yeah, I can tell you that we've got some 3 fantastic speakers, especially the master of Google Ads scripts. We've got Niels Ruymond. Sorry, Niels, I'm always getting your last name wrong. But Niels, you would have heard his name from, all the different kind of scripts at SMX Advance and different conferences around the world. He's always talking about how to use scripts to ensure we're staying ahead. He's been doing scripts from like way ahead for like over 10 years now. Even with the advancements of AI and automation, he's still making it useful for him to actually add scripts into the systems, and he's doing it very well. Yeah, that is happening on February the 5th. We are going to be at StrategiQ offices where they've got a fantastic space. They used to actually have Dragon's Den recorded there. I think you would have caught that when in my conversation with Dale. So yeah, if you want to have like really great photo op at the place where Dragon's Den was recorded, as well as of course primarily to learn more about how to do paid search ads, effectively, speak to other paid search advertisers to understand what their struggles are so that you feel like you're not alone, and just get great insights and add your voice to, how people can do better, because our panel sessions are next to none where everybody gets involved in that. So yeah, go to ppc.live for your early bird ticket sales for that. That could be a nice Christmas present for someone. So yeah, make sure you save that money. It's right now, it's only £33. So before you spend all your money on those Christmas presents, just save about £33 for a fantastic event happening on February the 5th of next year. So yeah, I hope you can join us for that. Before I leave you, I'm also delighted to share that I am taking on coaching clients, and just to help you deal with your imposter syndrome, deal with the challenges that you face, deal with the, just a blocker, a wall that you just feel like you're coming against with every time that you want to push ahead, helping with with promotions and salary negotiations. Very happy to help you with that, especially, and take you to the process of how I was able to secure one for myself this year at a time where redundancies were being made. It's, if you can show your value, you can have the confidence to ask for that salary increase, and knowing that you're going to get a yes in response. So yeah, go to themarketinganu.com to get more information as to how we can work together, and I'd love to help you on your career journey, especially for 2026. So yeah, I hope you have enjoyed the show, and I look forward to bringing more PPC F-ups and triumphs next week. Thank you. Bye.